What is Venus all about, right? When we talk about Venus, we think of many things, but mostly we think about, relationships and love and unionship, romance, going out on dates with someone, falling in love, like just this whole process of, dating someone up to the point whereby you marry them, right? But within that process, of course, you keep up, with the romance, you buy gifts, you go out to fancy restaurants, buy luxury things. This is all Venus. You spend money. Money is also Venus as well. You bring in comfort, to your relationship and to your spouse and to yourself as well. That is Venus, right? But most of the time we don't talk about the negative sides of Venus, which I think should be spoken about, so that we get the whole idea of what Venus represents, right? We must remember that Venus is also vanity. When we talk about Venus, we are also talking here about vanity. What is vanity? Vanity is thinking that you are above, other people, you are above certain classes, you deserve only the best in life, you don't deserve, to be a commoner, really, right? That's vanity, a bit of, oomph, which is not all the time bad, right? When it's balanced, because everything in spirituality, actually generally in life, everything should be balanced. If you are taking a salary from your work, then you go and balance it by providing for your family, right? If you are helping your spouse with a certain project, your spouse should also help you with your projects, right? That is balance, give and take, give and take, give and take, right? Everything can be balanced out regardless of their scale, but most of the time, of course, people don't people are not perfect, so people will make shortcomings and mistakes and all of that, right? And when we talk about Venus, we are also talking about the dark side of life. Yes, Venus also represents the dark side of life, such as overspending, such as, overindulgence, such as, addictions, going with the flow. Because if Venus in certain signs will not have, the spiritual side that it usually has, because Venus is also a spiritual planet, at times it will not have, this restriction upon itself, and just have a nice time, because anything that makes pleasure and that gives pleasure to the senses, that is a Venus thing. Venus will just go for it, and can also fall into addictions, and can also fall into controversies. Like, for example, when it's in the 12th house, there will definitely be a controversy of a hidden love. Either you become the third party to somebody else's marriage or relationship, or you bring somebody in your situation, in your relationship, because of the house where it's hidden, in which it's hidden, right? But also it is exalted in the 12th house. So remember, when we talk about the 12th house or the Pisces energy, we are talking about two directions of the fish. The other fish is facing to the right, the other fish is facing to the left. Now, you can have two people, and these two people, they have a Venus in Pisces, both of them, and both of them, they have their Venus in the 12th house. But you would be surprised to find out that these two people could have a different outcome with their exalted Venus. Why? Now, we would have to look at the degrees, right? And we would also have to look at the aspects. If one person's Venus is conjunct with Rahu, definitely here there will not be spirituality practice. There will not be a holy root practice. However, there will be a root of addictions, of overindulgence in anything that gives pleasure to the body. Remember, the 12th house is the house of the bedroom. This is where the sexual life is also practiced and in a hidden environment. And because it's hidden, a Rahu factor here could lead then the partner to these third party situations, right? And now put Venus, the same Venus, but from another person, and put it with Ketu, the south node. Do you know what's going to happen? The opposite of the Rahu. This person is going to reach the highest level of their spirituality. They could even be like the best of the best spiritual gurus, or the best of the best astrologers, somebody who is highly intuitive, somebody who is a healer, somebody who knows what detachment is. They don't even care about sex. They don't even care about looking at other people. They're all about their spirituality. So this is where you have to really give attention to the aspects, because obviously when we talk on platforms such as this, we talk in a limited time period, so we can't say everything, but your chart will tell you every detail, and it will surely be different from the next person's chart and the outcome, right? So that's what Venus is all about. As I said, it's all about healing as well. Now, if we look, of course, with a theology, we will remember that Venus rules the what? The second house and the seventh house. Now, the second house and the seventh house is about building relationships. This is why Venus is the goddess of relationships, and these relationships are the foundation of two different lives. I repeat, these relationships are in different forms. The first house that Venus rules, which is the Taurus, is a foundational relationship whereby you as a child, you learn how to relate within an environment that is safe or protected. Your home, your family, right? Your papa, your grandpapa, ta mère, ta grand-mère, everyone, your mama, everyone is here within the family with this family name, and you get to relate and you get to own that family name, and you are proud and say, I am whoever, and my family name is this. I come from a family of this, from the background of this. This is Venus, right? And once then you grow older, you get into a second type of a relationship whereby you relate with other people who are external from you. You start the social life right from the seventh house, and this is when you get to be controlled under the Libra sign. Also Venus, relationships. You meet your lover, you fall in love with your lover. Those butterflies that you get, you guys. Hey, I love love. I just love love. And it reminds me, when you guys tell me about your love stories, you should just see my face. I am just so content, so happy, so satisfied. I live for the shop. Like, I just love love. You can't tell me otherwise. So then in this seventh house, those butterflies, oh my gosh, and this guy or this girl, ooh, you go back home, you can't stop thinking about them, you guys. And you start imagining about your marriage, your wedding, what you're gonna wear. Oh, Right? So here you're starting to build an external relationship here. You're founding your external relationships, because remember, from this house, it's going to be the 8th house, whereby now you meet their in-laws and you form relationships with them. You meet your gurus, your foreigners when you travel with your spouse in the 9th house. You meet the community as a whole in the 10th house, and so on and so forth, right? But remember, something magical happens, which is not magical really. It's a bit a learning curve, I would say, because right before you meet your lover, in the 7th house, what happens to you? You go into the 6th house, and this is where Venus experiences what? This is where Venus experiences debilitation, in the 6th house, right before you meet your spouse. Why is that? It is because now you are stumbling from the relationships of protection within your family, within your surroundings, within that foreplay type of a situation, because the 5th house is about dating, but it's the dating that is light. There's no commitment made here. So it's like, when you're like in your 20s, you just trying to see who's fitting you. You're going out on dates that are not binding in the 5th house, or you're still protected, you still go back to your house, you still feel safe. And then in the 6th house, this is when you experience that period between, getting out of your comfort zone from the terms of protected relationships, and now maybe you experience, a certain wake-up call from these dates that you've been going to from the 5th house, and then you go like, oh my gosh, I need to grow up, I need to take relationships seriously, I need to think about who I want to marry and who is fitted for me. I need to call Mita and contact Mita right now, and she can look at my chart and tell me who's my ideal partner, right? You contact me, and then I tell you who's the right partner. I tell you about your love language, right? And then you go to the 7th house and you meet your spouse. And then, we both happy. I'm happy, you happy. And then you go to the 8th house and you start your external social relationships, right? So this is what Venus is all about when it comes to relationships. Now, let's get into the houses and overlays. Remember, we're talking about overlays of Venus when a partner, places their Venus in your house, in a certain house. What's going to happen to you and your life after this moment, right? However, it can also be used to look at your own chart, your own individual chart, natal chart, because there will be high similarities. It's not going to be the exact result, but there will be high similarities. Why there's not going to be an exact result? It is due to the point that when it is your natal chart alone, you're only receiving aspects that are within your chart. But when it's your partner's Venus coming into your chart, it is not coming alone. It is coming with its own aspects from your partner's chart, complicating the results of what you're going to experience, how you're going to experience it, right? However, the base will be there, so familiarities will be there. This can also be read from a composite chart point of view, because a composite chart is a third chart that we get when we add both of your charts, you and your partner, to make a couple chart. Because you, as Mita, you're going to have your ascendant, right? You're going to behave the way you behave, and then your spouse, Jack, is going to have his one, and he's going to behave the way he behaves, right? And then two together, when you are two, you make a couple. You know how the Christians, when they get married, the Bible says, or the pastor says now you are one. Even the Bible says that now you are one, after you get married. That one is a composite ascendant that gets formed through the relationship. That means that you can act differently. However, when you are together, there is a certain way that you act together and you interact with the world, you as a couple, right? So that's a composite chart. So now let's start and deal with this part. Yes, your partner, when they place their Venus on your ascendant, there is some discomfort that is felt. So the discomfort is definitely going to be related to your appearance, or their appearance. You find fault with their appearance, or they find fault with your appearance. Even though you're beautiful, you're attractive, you're just awesome person, but there will be annoyance. Maybe you like to wear a certain dress, right? And then your partner, for some reason, they find irritation with your style of dressing, or vice versa, you them. So there will be some annoyance that keeps occurring within the relationships. It could be about a hairstyle, it could be about anything that is external, or the mannerisms behavior wise, right? So here, what tends to happen now when this partner places their Venus is that they find you beautiful, sure, but obviously with this annoyance and critics that you give to them at the same time. So it's like a positive thing, but that comes with bitterness. And then at the same time, you may start to find that you become lazy when it comes to your work all of a sudden now, because you have this Venus on you. You want people to praise you, and now you start to become lazy to even do chores. You expect your partner to do for you some chores because your hands now are cut off. You can't spoil your nail polish. You don't want to break your nails. Right? There is this laziness that comes in you now in your life after you meet this partner, and now you expect your partner to run around for you. You can't even go to the mall anymore. Oh my gosh, you want your partner to do it for you. It is their Venus on your ascendant that is making you to be lazy now all of a sudden, to even, go to work. You could even leave your job here. You could even leave your job and just, resign and be like, actually, I just want to, stay at home, or I want to, focus on my own business, in modeling. I want to be an Instagram model. I want to be a high-end model. All of these things, they could come about. Or I want to start a podcast, or give beauty tips to people. I want to make start my own makeup thing. These things could come up, right? And what's evident here is that after this person places their Venus on your ascendant, your sex life, you are happy, man. You are very happy. You are just satisfied. Like everything is just working out for you. You just love the bedroom life that you have. And of course, remember, think about other aspects, other planets, all of these things that are right? But now we're just focusing on Venus alone. So here you could also start to actually travel a lot and be interested to go to Dubai. I love Dubai, by the way, it's so beautiful, but it's hot. But you could start to go to Dubai, to the islands, you start to explore stuff. You even start here to explore your own body, like, in secret. You could start to notice things on your body and start to love your just everything about yourself. Your subconscious becomes heightened here. Everything's come to the shore, and everything, of course, that glitters becomes attractive to you. And you could find that now you start to own quite a lot of high-end shoes, your partner is buying these shoes, or you're buying these shoes for yourself. Everything is just in terms of that part, right? Now it goes to the second house. Your partner's Venus is in your second house. Here your partner is bringing money. Hey, your partner is bringing money to you. Liquid cash is coming to you. Bank is coming to you. Like just a money luxury is coming to you here. You're going to feel that your material life has increased after this person has come into your life, right? Of course, how much money are you going to get? We need to say the degrees, because you could get 100 euros extra, or you could get 1,000 euros extra, and so on and so forth, depending on your degrees and the other aspects, all right? But now what's happening here is that when it comes to this whole situation of the second house, you start to expect your partner to be highly involved in the relationship, like to have like a bondage as quick as possible. So the bondage here, it becomes established so quickly. Like it wouldn't be surprising for you guys to have intimacy within the first few days of meeting, or even within the first day, and you just want to connect sexually immediately when you meet with this partner. And the situation, like the sexual situation, is also going to be satisfying, particularly because there is going to be emotions, there's going to be love involved, affection, all of these things, right? And what I do see though is that when it comes to keeping up with the relationship, it starts to be problematic, right? So there would be, a failure from your part to keep up with the promises that you make, or to keep up with the face that you're supposed to, to place in the relationship in terms of commitment. Do you want to commit? Or are you just enjoying, the luxury things? Are you just enjoying the money? Are you just enjoying the sex? Are you in? What's going on? Right, so this becomes quite problematic, and something that is like taxing to you, and you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not sure. You suddenly changing your mind. Something is making you suddenly change your mind. Maybe fear of somebody else is in the picture. Things like this could come about. Suspicions could come about here. And what I do see is that you become self-absorbed, you become self-focused. Now when I say self-absorbed, it's not always bad. There's always good in being self-absorbed, because it could mean that now you start taking care of yourself, you start upping how you look, how you behave. That's also a good self-absorption. But there's also the vanity part of Venus, whereby you think you're the only person in this relationship that matters. You don't give enough assurance to the relationship. It's all about me. So there could be some dangers like that come through with this. Now when it comes to the Venus in the third house, here what happens here, my goodness, your communication with this person is healing. When you talk together, you speak with affection, you yourself, even if you were rude in your life. But when this person places their Venus in your third house, all of a sudden now you find words, romantic words to speak to each other, to him, to her. Even the community can see some change in how you speak now. They're like, wow, there's some changes in her or his communication now. There's an evident visibility of you even on social media. You were not on Facebook. All of a sudden now you're joining Facebook after this partner places their Venus on you, and you become a glue, or like an attraction, a flower. When it comes to friends start to flock around you now, you become a bit, in demand. When it comes to friendships, people want to befriend you. You're not sure if it's fake or not, but now you're in demand for friendships because of your partner's third house. I mean, Venus in your third house here. Now, what's evident here is that this person is coming from a different uh, culture, background. There's something mixed in your relationship here when this person places their Venus on you. They could even if you are both Afro-Americans, there could be maybe one is an Afro-American from, like, they have a grandmother who comes from Nigeria, or the other party has a grandfather who comes from Haiti. So there could be some sort of mixed heritage in between, or culture, with this Venus coming to place on on your third house here. So what's happening now, as much as Venus is all about romance and sexuality, but here the sexual life becomes a chore. It becomes restricted, or there's something that is not allowing you to enjoy sex. And for some people it could be because you fight a lot with your partner. There are arguments that are spoken, words that are are what you call it, like too fluffy. When you speak too many sweet things, to the point that the person doesn't trust you, because you always agreeing, you're always saying yes, yes, you look beautiful, oh you look beautiful, do I look beautiful, oh you look beautiful today, yeah you look beautiful. Like, everything is so positive to the person, to the point that the partner is like, is this person really like telling me the truth all the time? So there could be those things, sort of things that would be sudden changes that hinder the sexual life. So today it's very good, the next day it's like so things are different. Also, regarding the finances that you share together, here it could take a long time to have shared resources together. And the thing is, you could not disagree, but you could choose to have separate banks. You have your money, I have my money. We never add money together, because of trust issues as well. Because of trust issues, no, I've had bad experiences with sharing banks. So now you just keep your bank to yourself, your money to yourself, I keep my money to myself. We don't mix. So because of this, then shared resources take a whole long time to come up and to be visible in the relationship. However, your own bank goes up, your money individually goes up, you become richer, right? It is only the shared part. So you become more like, no, this is my money, I focus on my money, right? So that's what I see here. Then when Venus is in the fourth house, here Venus is about home, is about comfort. So all of a sudden now, after you meet this partner, you want to make sure you have a home, and not just a home, but like a beautiful home. Even if it's a small home or a small apartment, you want it to be beautiful. You're going to go all out with decor and everything, right? Your partner is going to get a promotion in their job after they place their fourth house their Venus in your fourth house. They getting a promotion, they getting like an acceptance within the society. But you become like the attraction as well in your own profession, in your own society. People look at you, like they find you attractive, they find your home, your environment very attractive. And even the way you hold your family, or you lead your family, they find comfort in that. So there's that ambiance of beauty around these themes, right? However, your problems now rise up in terms of, maybe if you were in a university, you were following a certain course, and now you find laziness you want to quit your course, you want to change courses, you confused now. And if you had a mentor, you're confused about your mentor, or you follow wrong mentors and wrong advices at this point. If you guys are having a problem, you're gonna go to a wrong advisor, a wrong counselor. However, another situation that could happen is that you could find no time, for your father-in-law, like to listen to him or to take his advices, or you may find that his advices are misleading you, or you don't trust his advices, or you just don't want to follow his advices at this time. So like sorry, not your father-in-law, but like your father, your own father at this time. So you could have maybe some difficulties into agreeing, during, this whole relationship period, or it's all about the relationship. Maybe he doesn't approve of your spouse, he's saying that stuff, and then you defending your spouse, but what I see here is that the best thing that you have with your spouse is communication. So you're going to talk about all of these problems. You're going to be affectionate in your communication. You are going to travel as well. You're going to travel quite a lot, like short-term travels. And when you do take long-term travels, now you have problems all of a sudden. You've never had a problem traveling from one state to another state, but ever since your partner placed their fourth house, Venus, you just now have difficulties. Your flights are getting cancelled, your trips are getting cancelled, or even if you traveled, there's a problem. When you arrive at the destination, you're not happy about the place that you booked. Your Airbnb is not the way it was advertised. Like there's something that is irky during your travel, if it's a long distance travels that you find now, since your partner places their Venus in your fourth house, right? And now when your Venus is when their Venus is in your fifth house, yeah, definitely you want to have children at this time. Like whatever romantic gesture that you're making, you guys are doing it towards having children, making a love. Like the foreplay, there is foreplay here. Let's start there. There is a total foreplay, like the whole shebang, like playing music, lighting, candles, there's the wine if you guys are doing wine, there's like juice if you're doing juice, there's tea if you're doing tea, that calm classical music in the background, or R&B if you're doing R&B, like something so slow, just setting up the mood, and you put a perfume around, for the ambiance. You go take a bath, you guys, you wear your lingerie, and he wears nothing. And you just wear your perfume basically, you do everything foreplay, like by the book. Here Venus brings it all, no steps skipped, nothing. And with this Venus here, there's a tendency to be to like things that are very expensive, things of quality, things that shine and highlight the romance and make it to be bold and loud, to everyone. However, this Venus here can also make, if you are a man, can also make you have a shortage, in your regarding your sperms. All of a sudden now it's difficult to have a baby with this person, and or if you're a woman, vice versa, it's difficult to have a baby with your guy. But the difference is that in our synastry, as soon as you break up with this person, you could fall pregnant immediately with somebody else. Or if you're a guy, you could make somebody else pregnant so easily. But it is the synastry that does this. And then obviously if it's natal, then it is you in your chart. It's like a problem that lingers in your chart regardless of who you're dating, unless of course there's a big Jupiter aspect coming into this Venus, right, even in Synastry. So this needs to be seen. And also if there's an opposition of Venus, so maybe there's a Venus, you know, in the 11th house here, and then this cancels out. And what I see again with this Venus in the 5th house overlays or natal or composite chart is that it creates laziness regarding your profession. So here you could feel lazy to, you know, to seek that promotion that you've been chasing. Now all of a sudden, instead of working for 40 hours, you work 36 hours. You just want to go back home and be in love and all of those things. And, you know, you kind of neglect, you know, pushing your profession status and all of these things. Like it doesn't matter anymore. You're in love, right? So this brings that laziness here. Could also bring a bit of insecurity in how you look, you know, in the with the society. So you could start to feel a bit insecure, or you know, you start to reflect on what you've achieved, and that makes you insecure, even if you've achieved so greatly. You're a director of a huge company. For some reason, when this partner places their Venus, you feel insecure even with all these qualities and achievements that you've had and the status that you have, all right? So another thing here that is seen here is that your partner will have quite a lot of friends, like many friends. And these friends, they tend to bring pleasure, you know, outgoing vibes, you know, money as well, all of these things. And I have already said here that when it comes to, okay, I didn't say actually, when it comes to your home, this is where you spend most of your money. Like literally, you buy too much decor, you buy too many furnitures in the house, like too many stuff. Your house is full of stuff, and not just full of stuff, but full of expensive stuff. You want your home to look gold. You want your home to look royalty. You want your home to look beautiful. And when people come in, they don't even want to sit down. That's how, you know, expensive it looks. Or this can also be like your home is like, you know, a sanctuary whereby, you know, people come in and they feel like they are in a meditation center. Meditation center, you know, meditation center. And, you know, just calm and, you know, vibes, you know, it could also be that way if it's not too extravagant, right? So this is it about the Venus in the 5th house. Yeah. So when Venus is in the 6th house, I do have, I'm recording this over a few days, so my voice is going to definitely change from, you know, being high, being low, because it's over a couple of days, this recording. So now we are doing Venus in the 6th house, either overlay composite chart or natal, where it applies, if it applies. Here, the main thing is that after this person places their Venus in your 6th house, or it's your 6th house, there's insecurity, like inherited insecurity rather, right? Whereby you feel like I'm not beautiful enough. You feel like, you know, there's something lacking in what I do. You feel like there's something lacking in my romance style. I'm not romantic. I don't know how to be romantic. I don't know how to please my partner. My partner is not happy. My partner is not giving me what I want. My partner is not making me happy. I'm not getting the gifts that I want from my partner. My partner this, so there's this insecurity that just comes up with the Venus in the 6th house, and it could also highly be even about how you perform, you know, everything relating to Venus, love, romance, you know, regarding the partner here. And it doesn't matter if you are the most beautiful person, the most handsome person, the most romantic person, you would still feel like it's not enough. There is just this insecurity that is lingering with this Venus, and Obviously, if it's an overlay, meaning that this is not your natal Venus, but your partner is putting it in here, you could start to feel these things immediately when the relationship starts, and they could also feel the same way too. Right. So what else is visible is that this person could also be foreigners, or could be a foreigner, and if it's in your natal chart, then you could be dating quite foreigners quite a lot, or people who are different from you, either by tradition, beliefs, and all of those things, right? You would have beautiful children with the Venus in the 6th house. Like, your kids are beautiful. Like, these are the kids that could easily charm everyone, model and do these things, and they usually become also successful in the entertainment industry. Your children, that is. Movies, they could be hired. So basically, if you have kids with this Venus, you could also take them, for filming, take them to those agencies, and they be movie stars or something like that, or anything that is gonna put their face on TV. Your kids would get this with your Venus in the 6th house, or with the overlay. Your partner is overlaying their Venus in your 6th house. Now, here, the romance itself, it is like just how I explained with the 5th house, but here it is a bit also controversial most of the time. Here with the 6th house of Venus, there's a lot of controversy regarding third parties, cheating, mistrust, flirting with other people, quite a lot. Like, there are just scandals that are related to this relationship, or to a relationship with this Venus 6th house overlay, or natal, or composite charts. So that's a big thing here. And this also makes you attract friends that are not trustworthy, like friends that just wanna see you do bad for yourself, friends that are fake to your face, friends that will like promote you whilst you self-destruct. They go like, yeah, drink, go take the drugs, they like they misdirect you. So it does that. It attracts these types of people around you. And so obviously, if it's a Synastry case, you had good friends before, but when your partner places their Venus in your 6th house, all of a sudden now you're surrounded by people you can't trust, or people who are fake, to your face, and those things, And of course, with this Venus, it can make you dabble, with substances that you're not supposed to dabble with. You could experiment, the life of self-undoing. Sorry, I just spoke straight into the mic. Sorry for that. Anyway, you could take some drugs, definitely, or alcohol, like something that will make your mind be out of its own natural state with this Venus, definitely. And if you do not practice spirituality, because the thing is with this Venus, it wants you to practice spirituality. So either you attract a partner with a spiritual background who is going to help you, with your life. In your life, take, a sober-minded route, or you're going to meet like a total opposite, because now the 12th house here is being aspected by this Venus in the 6th house, being called upon, to be active. So it's either you take, a spiritual route, or like a sober life, or you take a dire like dragged out life, self-undoing here. So here, when it comes to this one, definitely kind of need to, see who you're dealing with, see their life path, or how's their life, how's their style of life, of living, because it could take you directly to the root of where the partner is going so easily, right? Because of those insecurities that are coming in with this Venus laying in your 6th house, or is in your 6th house, right? Now, when it comes to Venus in the 7th house, either from the overlay, part or natal composite chart as well. Right, Venus here is comfortable. That's number one, like, because this is Venus in her own house. Everything she knows is in the house. Everything she's comfortable about is in the house. All the tools that she needs, they're in the house. This is her home. So meaning that she's going to want to, I'm saying she now, Venus is going to make you guys want to get into a contractual agreement. So most of the time this is marriage, right? If it's not marriage, it could also be, you know, whereby you promise each other to, you know, get married in the future. That is, you propose, you know, to each other. Or you can also start a business here, because this is also a business house. You and your partner, you could say, actually, you know what, let's have a joint venture, my love. And the other one is like, okay, but there will be some sort of contract that is signed here. And most of the time, you know, within the industry, entertainment industry, it's you know, usually a music contract, you know, when it comes to artists. And you know, when it comes to people who are entrepreneurs, then you find that now this is a joint business whereby they have a project together. They want to supply some, you know, products to, you know, a certain company. So it could also be a short term, but definitely some signature of some sort is required here between you guys. Now, the thing is that your partner, you know, is going to find you beautiful, and you find them beautiful, vice versa, right? Another thing here is that there is like this balancing harmony. One partner feels like, if you want to take the lead, I'm sure, I mean, I'm cool with that, like, and there's no problem. I'm not going to challenge your leadership. I'm cool with that. You can go ahead and be the leader, I'll follow. So there's no battle when it comes to, you know, position in the relationship. Now here, what usually happens is that you also balance, at least there's a whole lot of balance basically. It is really Venus in its balance, in its sign of balance. Because even in the bedroom, there will be a shortage, there will be a lack, but that lack is fulfilled by the other person. So if the other person, you know, prefers, you know, to sleep in a certain way, the other person is going to be like, okay, fine, you sleep like this, and then, you know, I sleep like that. There's no problem here. There's a compromise even within the sexual part as well. There's a compromise that is balanced, that is harmonious, right? And even with the things that you do for each other, the services that you do for each other, the gifts that you do for each other, the help that you do for each other, there is always this balancing factor. Like, where you lack, I give. Where I lack, you give. So it's really like a relationship that is always seeking, you know, balance of making both of you feel like you are in a relationship, feel like you are heard, feel like you are seen, feel like you are appreciated. And if there is one that wants to be higher than the other one, then the other partner, it doesn't mind to lower themselves, you know, for their partner to feel great. So yeah, I love this. With Venus in the 8th house, there would be this need, and not just need, but action towards accumulating wealth together. After, you know, this partner places their Venus in your 8th house, all of a sudden both of your accounts together that you share, they go up. You have enormous amount of money that accumulates, and it could also accumulate, you know, quite quickly as well. So maybe if you've been together for 5 years, you know, you could have seen like the difference within like the first year, or, you know, towards the second year, you see the results already. The sexual life is amazing, guys. Like, the sexual life is really amazing here. Bonding, nicely, affectionate, everything. However, there could be some STIs that are experienced, you know, because of this Venus in the 8th house here. And another thing, you know, there could be sometimes cheating, third parties, definitely scandals, definitely. But the thing is, with Venus in the 8th house, regardless of the scandals, regardless of cheating, there is this need and this focus of, you know, wanting to keep the relationship going and still finding happiness in the relationship. So it's like, you know, it's like something happens, a scandal happens, and then you guys, one or both of you, be like, okay, you know what, let's forgive, let's forget, let's transform each other and get into another stage and still focus on making our relationship the best. Because the thing is really that the relationship brings happiness regardless of these scandals and everything that's happening. The relationship itself really brings happiness and balance to your mind, if that makes sense. Because the thing is that now you start to feel insecure about yourself, about how you look, and then you look to your partner, you know, for that validation, for that happiness. So even if they bringing scandal or you being scandalous in the relationship, you feel, you know, a bit insecure about how you look, you know, about, you know, even your clothes, your style, and you looking always towards your partner to get the validation. So you easy to forgive, you easy to forget, easy to move on, transform yourself. And you could literally transform even how you look. If you were not wearing a makeup before and now you wear makeup and all of these things, right, to get that validation and that happiness that you find from the relationship here, right. Now, when it comes to Venus in the 9th house, you guys are going to travel quite a lot. And the relationship is definitely including differences in your backgrounds. Either one of you is a foreigner, either one of you is a different culture, different race, there's a difference definitely in you, in both of you and your partner here. The thing is that now, when it comes to your finances, now all of a sudden, your bank starts to dry up. As soon as this relationship starts, you know, maybe you had 2,000 euros saved up. But now when this partner places their Venus in your 9th house, or if it's in your natal, then you will see that when it comes to the bank, to your money, you know, there is some shortage here, because the money is spent or could be spent on these travels that this Venus comes in with here. It could also be spent on exploring or even like commuting, because there's a lot of commuting as well, a lot of transporting yourselves from one place to another place. So of course the bank is going to dry up, and there could also be, you know, troubles with your family. You start to fight now with your family members, or with one of your family members you don't see eye to eye, or you don't get to talk to them even if you're still in harmony, but you don't feel, you know, you have enough time to see them, to visit them now. So there's just this insecurity that comes in your background, family background, or with your family members here. And you could also sabotage your own beliefs here and follow the beliefs of your lover, of your new love here. Another thing that I see here with this Venus in the 9th house, wow, is that when it comes to the money, actually, you know what, you could be going broke because you're putting money in, you know, towards the relationship, or maybe you're putting money too much money in your shared account instead of your own personal account. You don't save for yourself, basically. You save for the relationship. You contribute towards the relationship quite a lot, which then would explain why your own money is becoming depleted here, right? You know what? You could actually be addicted here with the ups and downs that are happening, you know, to your relationship. You could be addicted to the toxicity that this relationship comes with, or, you know, the uncertainties that are, you know, coming with the relationship. Or maybe you're just like, you know, having your blood, you know, boiling, moving all the time, you know, traveling from one place to another place, like always on the move type of a vibe. So you like this. You obviously like the sexual life. Definitely you are addicted to it. You are addicted to the sex of this person or with this person. And, you know, it could, be a big reason that you are, with this person, and here there is a high tendency of loyalty, and to the point that you just don't want to leave this person, even if there could be a third party or anything relating to that. You could be just addicted to the the that part of life that makes you stay with this person, right? Now, when it comes to Venus in the 10th house, the Venus in the 10th house, either if it's a natal, you have been like a magnet to people. People just get drawn to you. They just want to be around you. But if it's in Synastry, obviously this starts to be visible after you start a relationship with this person that is placing the Venus in your 10th house. You become this popular thing around your neighborhood, your community, or even your work, your professional space. People just find you jolly. They just find you pleasant, to be around. And you could also, start working in nicer jobs, get promotions quite often, be favorable for promotions in your workspace, because you have this Venusian thing around you. And also your mind is always thinking about your home life, what type of a home you're gonna have, like you want to invest in that. But because of this Venus in here in the 10th house, you could find that you and your partner have to balance the home life and professional life quite a lot, whereby one person after this relationship starts is forced to start working from home or be in the home area, focus on the home. And one of the big communication with this placement becomes one of the biggest problems. If it's in Synastry, of course, this is going to be experienced in the relationship. If this is your chart, then in every relationship that you deal with, it could be a problem, a continuous problem. However, if obviously it's balanced out by, your partner's Venus being in the in the 4th house, and or maybe, there's Jupiter aspecting this, things could be better. So that could be a problem. Of course, you would enjoy visiting places, traveling together, exploring. That would be very nice. You could enjoy that. And high chances of getting married if this partner is a foreigner to you, somebody who's different by race, by tradition, by beliefs. Then the chances of getting married to them or being bound to them are higher than a person who is of the same beliefs or in the same culture or something like that, right? So now when it comes to the 11th house of Venus, here Venus is all about having connections, right? So if you were a bit timid, a bit introverted, after your partner places their Venus in your 11th house, and then you start to be a bit social person who wants to have friends all the time with friends. Even if you're only going out with your partner, you prefer to go out with people around you. You prefer to have do double dates and all of that, like just be in contact with your friends, right? And at the same time, the romance life is good. You try to keep things spiced up, very nice, very cozy romantic life. You want to have children for sure because of the aspect to the 5th house. And here you also become respected in your society or profession. Here, this 11th house Venus elevates your status to the highest point that is available. However, if it's in an anemic sign, you could also be infamous and people accusing you of stuff, surrounded by a just bad name around you, right? And I see that with the Venus in the 11th house, you would not be at home most of the time, or you would feel lazy, towards the domestic life. You wouldn't feel, even with your home, you would feel lazy to even do proper things within the home. Even the cars that you buy, they would maybe break, or you'd buy like old versions or versions that are not really attractive. There'll be something that is going a bit irritating within the home life, right, because of this Venus in the 11th house. This is also one of those placements that give a good relationship with the mother-in-law here. So yeah, unless of course there are malefic aspects or a bad sign, but generally it gives a good relationship with the in-laws for sure. Now, when it comes to the 12th house of Venus, it is best and preferable that the person right from the get-go, they date somebody who's totally different from them, a foreigner, somebody who's of a different race, religion, all of these things, beliefs. Just have somebody who's extremely different from you. Most likely it will bring this person to you. However, if it doesn't, then there is a high chance of this love being a hidden love, or there's a side chick, a side person, a side kick, a third party that is going to linger in the relationship for a long time. Like, this Venus gives like a third party who does not go anywhere, who's not going anywhere, who's going to be part of this relationship for the longest time. And most of the time they could even beat you to the relationship, or you get beaten in the relationship and you get kicked out of the triangle situation, right? And you lose the partner, or they lose their partner, but it's going to happen after a long time. So this Venus here, because it's facing the 6th house of obstacles and competition, right? This also brings a lot of stress, a lot of health problems. So it could be mostly mental problems, because there's a lot of stress regarding this relationship or around this relationship. It just becomes extremely stressful altogether, right? And at the same time, looking at the factor of children, it might be difficult to have children together, or there could be stepchildren that are coming into the relationship here. But if you do have children together, there's still problems regarding this. Maybe you are unable to care for the children, you are not available, maybe you're working too hard, you're stressed, you're sick, you're on depressants, antidepressants, stuff like this. So it would be a difficult thing to even cater to children or tend to children, or the topic of children. The romance can also be very dry, literally very dry, whereby even if you try, there's something that is just not working out. There's just a dry aura around your affair, your relationship, right? However, you become quite important in the society after you date with this person who places this. All of a sudden now money is coming in. Doors for money, they open very widely and very openly. Even opportunities, you could feel like, okay, I'm living my dream, but back at home things are burning. My romance is dry, but opportunities for me are becoming a valid thing. I can see them, I can touch them, I can realize all my dreams. It's a difficult thing, right? It's like a win-lose situation, right? So that's it. I'll chat to you soon. I've been to ciao.